big one that everybody wants to always talk about there, and that's the offense. Because that's the defense. That's the offense. As listen, we say it all the time. We get it. Everybody loves talking about offense and defense, but defense tends to be the one people want. Defense tends to be the one that kind of gets swept to the side there because everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers. So let's get started right out there now. What we did here is we're talking the typical 53-man roster in an NFL, okay? There's going to be some differences to what we would think the Giants would do based on that, but we'll use that as kind of a blueprint for this whole process here. So typically, the average team will keep 2 quarterbacks on a 53-man roster. And that's where the Giants immediately start changing things up. So obviously, we got Russell Wilson, we got Jaxson Dart, we got Jameis Winston, and we got Tommy DeVito. I think it's pretty safe to say that Jaxson Dart makes the roster. Is that safe, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the things to guess, that's one that we don't want to guess on. It's also safe to say that Russell Wilson's going to make the roster. Those are the 2 that you know damn well are not going anywhere. And it breaks it down to going with Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito. What do we do with those 2? Now, there's been all kinds of rumors about Jameis Winston being trade bait, guys. Again, I've said it all along. I will continue to say it. I will continue to scream it from the rooftops. BS. We're not getting rid of this guy. Like this is literally the guy that Jaxson Dart said if he could play with anybody as a mentor, it'd be Jameis Winston. We signed him to a 2-year deal. Yeah, he ain't going anywhere. He's a cheap backup for next year. So
yeah, he's also one of the best backups in the league. So
yeah. And then Tommy DeVito, unfortunately, becomes an odd man out. Like there's no way to keep 4 quarterbacks. So we got to kind of toss Tommy DeVito off to the side here. And then listen, if nobody wants to pick him up, then he makes a damn good quarterback to have on the practice squad. Considering the experience he brings, not just in the NFL, but in our roster, our playbook. You know, he's been on the team now for 2 years. He knows his playbook probably better than anybody else in the, on the entire roster at this point. Sad, but true. So I'd like to have him on the practice squad. I just don't think he'll be there. I got to think somebody's going to pick him up. I got to hope for his sake someone who picks him up. So that gives us 3 on the roster. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jaxson Dart, in whatever order you want to put him in. Now, keep in mind the 3rd quarterback rule in the NFL means that one of them could be the emergency quarterback that is only allowed to enter a game if the other 2 are injured. I think the Giants will definitely utilize that rule so they can keep all 3 quarterbacks on this roster.
100%.
I hate to break it to fans, but I'm not changing what I've said all along. I think Jaxson Dart's that guy.
100%. That's Dart's position. He's the emergency.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that'll change as the season goes. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he will get onto the active roster to the point where we can play him a little bit there. But that's not going to happen in the very beginning. It's something that it's a luxury for us to have all these quarterbacks, but it's what we got. It's what we got. As Jay says, what? Sit Dart for a whole year? What? Stop. I'm still saying it. Get him. I haven't changed anything. Let's be very clear on this. I'm excited by Jaxson Dart, but don't rush the kid. Don't do it too quick. As Anthony says, feeling like Dart should start. You just want to say it because it rhymes. We have to bring back our Dr. Seuss series again. Ray Kennedy, Tampa Bay Ray in the house. Is great show, fellas. What's up, man? But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. We got 3 quarterbacks we're to keep, which means we have an extra compared to your average one. So we're gonna have to figure out what we're doing there, because that means we're gonna have to go ahead and get rid of somebody else that we might have kept because we're keeping an extra quarterback. Now, running back wise, we have a few spots to do. So we got this is probably one of the biggest roster bubble decisions in Terrible Miller. So that's something we got to consider in this whole thing. So you got obviously Tyrone Tracy Jr. You got You got, of course, Motor, Devin Singletary. You got Cam Skattebo, we do have the injury concern here going on, but let's see what we got. We got, of course, Eric Gray, who we haven't seen because he's been injured the entire time.
Bye.
And it's funny, I'm literally looking at the team's roster because I want to make sure that we don't forget anybody. And they didn't have Eric Gray on the active roster on their actual team roster right now. I mean, I get it, he's injured, but there's injured players like Cam Skattebo still on it. Jonathan Ward, of course, the guy we picked up late. So let's make the easy ones here because there's some very easy decisions. Tyrone Tracy Jr. staying, right? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Cam Skattebo
Staying.
Can't get rid of a rookie. I mean, he played it down in the NFL yet. That will be really embarrassing. So that gets you 2 right there. So that leaves you with a few decisions to make, but you know already 2 aren't going to stay. There's no way in hell Jonathan Ward makes this roster unless there's a whole bunch of, injuries at that point that we're not expecting right now between now and then. And keep in mind, we're shooting this a week before cut day, so who knows what happens. Knock on wood, what happens if somebody gets injured against the Patriots? But Jonathan Ward, not going to make it. And then, of course, Eric Gray, not going to make it. Now, Eric Gray's got to get healthy before they can officially cut him. Now, and as Robert says right here, Skattebo will be on IR to start the season. That's where things get a little interesting. Because if he does start an IR, then you got an extra roster spot available. So that's something to keep an eye on. Again, I haven't heard too much on that yet. As far as timetable to get him back on, I think they're just not going to rush him as they shouldn't. No need to rush the kid. But we know already that we're down to, at that point now, Devin Singletary, who I think we got to keep personally. Rob, you on board?
100%.
And Dante Turbo Miller, who I think we got to keep.
He's been a preseason hero thus far, but I think he has the ability to actually show that talent in the NFL.
I saw an interesting stat on him. He's got 11 first downs on offense. The next highest person has 9. That's all of the NFL, not just the Giants. All of the NFL. He's literally leading the NFL in first downs. That's impressive. And he's doing it against backups. We have to kind of temper that a little bit. But he's looking flat out dominant when he catches the ball. And it's weird to say that about a running back. Flat out dominant. But, you got 4 right there, though. The interesting part, again, what Robert said, will Skattebo be healthy to start the season? Do they put him on IR? And if you put him on IR, you're down to 3. You got Motor, you got Tracy, you got Turbo. That's the big question: is it 4? Do you keep Skattebo? So I'm going to include it as if we're keeping him and he's healthy, because we got to hope that. That's unfortunate. We got to hope. Hoping is not exactly a Giants' strength there.
Yeah, Sally.
Yeah. We can kind of snake bit a little bit there. As Deb says, Dart has played against people who will be working at Home Depot after next week. Well, that's not fair. Lowe's is hiring as well.
I was going to say, listen, not every state has a Home Depot like that. There's Costco. That's
Ace Hardware.
Yeah. Ace Hardware.
Ace is the place for the people who couldn't make it in the NFL.
There's Riley Auto Parts.
But, I mean, listen, he's played half and half. I'm going to give Dart a little more credit than that. He has played against some starters as well. It's been kind of half and half. So, so you got to give at least a little bit there. And Max, the Giants fans, says no need to rush Dart out there. Damn straight. Anthony says, see ya, Gray. And Jay, of course, is future vacuum salesman of America, Deb. Robert NY Giants, Turbo must keep. Damn straight. We've been big on Turbo from the get-go. Jay says, Gray does not annoy me like Hyatt does. Well, they both should annoy you because they both suck.
Wow.
It's the honest truth. Mac the Giants fan, safe to say Eric Gray ain't making the cut yet. And Jay says that's our punt return one though. Nope. Anthony says, is Gray on the pup? Yes, he is on the pup currently. That's probably why they don't even list him on the roster. But it's again, even if he was healthy, he's not making this roster. We've already made that mistake multiple times. It's time to move on. Eventually, you got to say, you know what? This was a mistake. This was a bad move. It is that time to admit this was a bad move. So,
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew as soon as we drafted him, it was a bad move.
You're like, who the hell? No, what? Just saying, we could have had Puka Nacua.
Could have.
I mean, granted, everybody passed on Puka. I'm not suggesting that we knew anything ahead of time. I got to say it because he was drafted after him. Let's see. Anthony says, definitely need to keep Motor. You need a vet in that young RB room. Damn straight. That's his role. And especially when you have guys like Skattebo that were later on in their careers in college when they started developing. You got Tyrone Tracy Jr., who was for all of high school and for half, not a little more than half, because I forget if he did 4 or 5 years in college, was still a receiver, wasn't even a running back yet. Like, yeah, it's key to have a veteran in there. Even Turbo hasn't played in 2 years basically. Like veteran
basically,
leadership.
yeah, maybe like almost even longer.
Well, I mean, you got 2 years
6
basically.
games 2 years ago.
Last year he kind of practiced a lot, but he didn't play.
Yeah.
The practice squad with us. Matt, Giants fan, got to keep Turbo because there is no way he clears waivers this year. Oh God, no. He'd be picked up in a heartbeat. Anybody let him clear through would be an idiot.
After seeing what he's done so far, yeah.
Jace's motor salary is pretty much guaranteed. No reason to get rid of him. Damn straight. I hear that all the time. People say that.
Save like $500,000, maybe $1 million, and then NFL, it's not worth it. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of him coming to the Giants because like just as fancy watching him. Like everyone's like, oh, he's such a great running back in this league. Like, great is stretching. He's an RB1, yes. Is he a solid RB1?
No. He's a borderline RB1, let's be honest.
Yeah, especially as later in his career. Like, yeah, that's how I took it. And like to pick him up, like it was all right because we didn't have any solid player there, and we just relied on the draft, which I mean, granted, helps set up what you call it, Tracy Jr.
When I said really scary, I did look up the math. Devin Singletary, if we cut him, it's $6 million in dead cap, and we save $250,000. Yeah, he's not going anywhere, guys. I mean, granted, it's a June. You can do. I don't think we've done anybody post June 1st, so I think you can do that still. But even then, you're still eating almost $5 million and save $1.5. It ain't worth it. Really, it's not worth it. So, Anthony says, "What did Roberto do for his 40th birthday?"
Went crazy.
That's every day. It's not a birthday.
Oh, not anymore. I'm old.
I'm so old.
I'm so old. No, that the missus took me out to dinner. She threw me a little surprise party. It was nice. Yeah. Had a nice time with the kid. Went down, had some lake time.
He was contemplating his life slipping away.
Yeah. I was like, filthy 40. Ugh. Suddenly the idea of running just hurts my knees.
Oh, listen, my knees are killing me right now as we speak, even. It's bad. It's bad. Anthony says he is a tier 2 RB1. That's a lot of words.
I would almost say tier 3. Like, you say tier 2 is middle of the pack. Tier 3 is like he's towards the end.
That's what I'm saying. Like he is that like not a below average starter to above average backup at this point. And you know what? 2 years.
That's what. Yes, but we picked him up. Like I would say, like he's a bottom level tier 2, top 3. Like
yeah.
Listen, if you're doing fantasy and he's your RB1, even a 12-man league, you're probably didn't draft right.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously that's why he was a starter last year, and we were going, yeah. Jay says, did all the old lady waitresses at the Golden Corral sing happy birthday?
It was Captain's Inn in Forked River.
Robert NY Giants is as good as Winston is a backup. Giants will listen to offers. If they get a wide receiver or a decent draft pick, Giants will pull the trigger. I would say this. You're not wrong there. I think part of my reasoning for saying that he's going to be on the roster no matter what is I don't think they're going to get that kind of offer. Like, what would you have to get to trade him? Seriously. Like, what would you go, okay, well, that makes sense to get rid of a guy who's on a team-friendly contract for 2 years and is literally the guy we drafted said I would love to have as a teammate. He'd be a good mentor for me. Like that, you have to really get a good offer. And I don't know, is it a 3rd-round pick you need?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's giving that. I mean, if it's a day 3 pick, is it really worth getting rid of this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't
even
know if like you would get like you know, 3rd round. He might even drop because of his age, but
not to mention we say he's one of the best backups in the league, and we have no problem saying that. But when did we get him? It wasn't the first day or two of free agency. Like, you got to also consider that part of it. So he's on his cap number this year is $3 million. It's just $5 million next year. Good luck getting a backup quarterback for $5 million with his ability.
We had Tyrone Taylor 2 years ago, paid him more money, and I think what's the better Tyrone. Tyrone Taylor, whatever.
We actually pronounced it too. Remember, he corrected people a couple years ago. It's not Tyrod anymore. It's like T-Rod or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, T-Rod.
I forget what it is. Once he went to the Jets, I stopped paying attention. Extra Sauce says, how likely are we to release Nacho or Bellinger? We're going to get to those two, but I'm going to say one of them I think will go and one of them will stay. I'll let you decide for yourself here. What do you think I mean in a minute? Anthony says, I would want a 3rd rounder for him. New Orleans might do that with no decent QBs. That's possible. Like I said, anything's possible. Like I always tell people, nothing is impossible basically in the world of football. You never know what the hell is going to happen. But again, I think for a guy that was hanging around for a little while, New Orleans could have signed him if they wanted him. You don't think he would have gone back there? Especially with the chance to start.
I was supposed to say they need some talent in QB. They have a very weak QB position.
Oh my God.
Just room.
The worst QB room than us.
It's probably the worst in the past 5 years. It's probably like one of the worst quarterback rooms in the past 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe that this is where we're at, but this is where we're at. So Jay says, I don't think any teams would give a crap about Jameis. To be honest, teams have young options to roll the dice with before crab legs. I think it depends on how some of the young guys are performing, and it also depends on injuries. Injuries happen every single time. Jay says 3rd rounder AC. And Kay says, cut both Nacho and Bellinger. We save almost $8 million. Yeah. Problem is, we need one of them. Jay says, I am scared to cut Nacho. It's like Jay's a mind reader. Anyway.
Yeah.
As we totally tell people exactly the plan. Listen, let's get to the wide receiver room. Because that's where there's a little bit of intrigue here. Now, let's cut the BS right off the bat. We know who's going to be here, obviously. Nabors is going to be here. Slayton is going to be here. Wan'Dale is going to be here. And unfortunately, Hyatt's going to be here. That's your 4 spots right there.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of who do you like?
You keep it cons because you got the 8-yard bomb.
You know what? It's not just the bomb. Like, honestly, I think you look at the 2 guys, you go either Bo Collins. I think that's the guy you look at there, or Montrell Washington. I think those are the 2 guys that is kind of in between. And I think whoever you pick for the 6th spot is going to be your guy that is your returner more than anything else. And that's where I don't know which one they prefer. I really don't. But I'm telling you right now, if it's me, as much as Montrell Washington definitely had the early lead, I would take Bo Collins. He's the young kid. Like, no one knows what he is yet. Montrell Washington sat on the practice squad for 2 years with the Chiefs. Like, you don't think he got good coaching there? You know, like you don't think he went to a team that needed a receiver room there and couldn't make the field still? And I think it's maybe not fair because we don't know obviously what happened in Kansas City with Washington. But But to me, that's like, at least for me personally, again, only being able to know what I get report wise in practice and being able to see what I see in preseason. That to me is part of the deciding factor. Is I got a kid who's never played in the NFL come in as a pure rookie, and I have a guy that's been around the league for 2 years and hasn't done a damn thing.
I feel like it's a damn thing.
Fair or not, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I like Montrell Washington, and I would love to have him on our practice squad. Let me be very clear on that. I would love to have him on the practice squad if nobody takes him, because he's done the work this offseason. He's gone ahead and, done a lot of things that it's asked of him there, but he hasn't done anything. That's the problem. And I need someone that I think can do a little more, and as Extra Sauce said, we can use Colin's size. People don't realize he's 6'3". He's a bigger guy. And this guy I didn't even mention in this whole fold at that point that really you could have had the conversation with as well is little Jordan Humphreys, because he's a big guy as well. Wan'Dale,
one of the worst names in the league.
Yes, there's an award for that. Who would get it? But Wan'Dale smaller. Nabors, I know he plays like a bigger guy because he's got that dog mentality, but he's not a big receiver. He's a smaller receiver. Slayton's a smaller receiver. Hyatt is decent height, but he's the weight of a toothpick. So it's like, you got to think that size is going to come part of it. So again, I think it's Bo Collins. And I think Montrell Washington is somebody you're going to try to put up onto the practice squad. I think they probably wouldn't mind if they can also put a little Jordan Humphrey on the practice squad as well. And listen, I'll say this point blank. Hyatt, get your shit in gear.
Because you'll be packing yourself out. Actually, no, you might go to Jets.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I could see a scenario where they go, you know what? Like, I'm not talking in the beginning of the season. I'm be very clear on that. But if halfway through the season, let's say he's got 100 yards, has a season like he had last year, I could see them going, maybe this is the end. Maybe this is where we got to realize this was a bad move. And again, he wasn't a high draft pick, guys. I know some people said he might have been a late first round pick, but he ended up being the 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
His cap number is 1.5 million this year, guys. 1.8 next year. He's cuttable. And again, I don't think they do it at the beginning of the season. But it wouldn't shock me at all if they told somebody point blank, put in the work. We might make some moves. We might get you midseason back up here from the practice squad. This is his last chance, Jalin Hyatt, to show what he can do. So, are we in agreement on Collins? Since that's the one we're talking about right now.
100%.
So, 6th spot for the wide receivers is between one of two people. Ihmir Smith-Marsette and Gunnar Olszewski. That's the two guys because one of these guys needs to be the kick returner / punt returner.
Olszewski is like the guy that the Daves have liked the past year for.
Well, he was hurt last year. That's why we got, Ihmir Smith-Marsette, who also did very good as a punt returner. Like, I don't want to, take away what he did. He looked just as good as a punt returner, I feel like, as Gunnar Olszewski did. But you know what the difference between those two players for me right now is? I see Gunnar putting the work in as a receiver.
Yes.
And maybe I'm just stupid. But to me, I look at that and go, you know what? Here's a kid who's trying to set on the offense. He's caught a couple balls. Maybe in a pinch, we can actually use him as a receiver. I haven't seen Ihmir Smith-Marsette out there as a receiver, too much. Actually catching the ball. He's been out there as a decoy. That's it. He's also been dealing with his own injury at that point there. So, but as Anthony says, because you're 100% right, man, he's got baby arms. He says Gunnar has had some decent plays in the passing game, but he has baby arms. He does. He's a little T-Rex. He's a baby.
The ball really tight.
We should call him the Raptor. Gunnar the Raptor Olszewski. But again, he's at least he's providing something on offense. And if I really got to look at the scenario, and I think both of those guys are decent returners. I don't think either one of them where you go, oh, that's not a good returner. Or you go, oh, this guy's clearly much better as a returner than the other guy. And I think that's part of it. He's been healthy. He's been doing something on offense. I think that's the guy you got to go with. An agreement, Rob? Or
agreement?
Oh,
I mean, I already said it beforehand, so yeah.
I'm hoping at one point you disagree with me. Disagree.
Well, I mean, I said Olszewski before, so yeah. I actually let off, so you were supposed to disagree with me, if anything.
Let's see. Let me go back to where we were here. Where we go here. Okay, there we go. Anthony says, I think Collins and Washington stay. I just don't know how you keep both. We're already keeping an extra quarterback. We got to figure out where to have one less guy later on. That's my only concern. I don't know. I just don't know where you keep both. But yeah, like I said, I like both of them. I think they both stay here. It's just a matter of, can we sneak Washington out of the practice squad, you know?
You kind of but
Dips, I hope it's Collins. Giants fan, I prefer Collins to Washington. We already talked about needing Collins' size. Chewy says it's between Little Jordan and Collins. Dable always keeps one big wide receiver for end zone packages. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Sometimes that person is just an overpaid paperweight on the roster, like Kenny Galladay, but he tends to. Anthony says Hyatt is a bum. I'm sure he has a home.
Sure, he made enough to buy at least one house.
Yeah, exactly. This year alone. Jay says Shane will cut him due to the optics, but I hope they do. Deb says Giants have a history of hanging on to guys who are not performing. Get rid of Hyatt. And I said, I think you got to give him this. I do think you got to give him the start of this year because of the change in the quarterback room. Because I do think part of the problem was the fact that who the hell was getting him the ball?
100%. Boyle.
Like you got a guy who's his only thing he does is run fast down the field.
And the only thing we don't do is throw the ball deep down the field
accurately. We did still throw it. We just throw it up and it was nowhere near anybody who can catch it.
Yeah.
So like I said, I do think that's what you got. Is you got a situation where you're going to say to him point blank, we need you to start rolling, and you are on thin ice. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with telling him that up front. If I was him, I would rather hear from my coaches and my front office at that point saying, you know what, we have faith in you. We really do, but we haven't seen it. And we need to see it. We need to see it quickly because we have guys here we also like that we're going to have to cut one of them and hope he lands on our practice squad just to keep you. That's us showing the faith we have in you, but you got to reward that faith. And if you don't, we're going to have to cut ties. There's nothing wrong with having that blunt conversation like that.
No. Hey, nut up or shut up.
I would respect it. I would.
Yeah.
I really would, especially after 200 yards last season. You know, I just that's where I'm at. Anthony always do that when I write it there. As extra sauce, so does Wan'Dale about the little baby arms. Yes, he does. And it's just Saucy does, but Robinson has a much higher ceiling. If he can ever catch the ball, yes. Yes. Jay says if Bo pops, that might be the most satisfying pick of the last 20 years. If Bo pops, he is the Slayton of the offensive line.
It's true.
Robert NY Giants says Kayvon Thibodeau needs to be traded to get something for him before he demands more money. Respectfully disagree. This is our strength. I want to keep it our strength. Plus, we still have no clue what Carter is. What if Carter's a bust? I know everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion. He's great, but what if he's a bust? We got to see. Plus, trust me, we've gone over this before in the past. We can fit him in. Because by the time he needs money at that point, you figure the first year is a little later. We still have him for 2 years right now, so you're talking 3 years down the road. At that point, Brian Burns is probably leaving. Like, we got the money. That won't be a problem, I promise. Cases, I think Fedone would be a good red zone threat. We're going to go into him. As Jay also says, Fedone might be the final nail in the coffin for Bellinger. He can now go on to be a Pro Bowler elsewhere. He says, Anthony says, you could carry 3 tight ends. You're not wrong that you could carry 3 tight ends.
Some carry 4. You look crazy.
Some carry 7. Oh, they don't. Anyone carry 7.
I was about to say.
I have a 50 of all tight ends.
Yeah.
So On the tight ends, you got Daniel Bellinger, you got Greg Dulcich, you got Thomas Fidone the second Esquire, you have Theo Johnson, you got Chris Manhurst, and you got Jermaine Terry the second. So let's keep it obvious with who's not going anywhere. And the one name you could say guaranteed not to go is Theo Johnson, right?
That's what I say. Theo stays.
Yeah, Theo stays. We already lost one Theo this year. We can't lose another.
No.
Too soon.
Theo.
I did it. Someone's gonna complain now. Watch. That was too soon. I knew him personally. Malcolm Schmallwater is my best friend. So
we're going. Staying.
Now let's go with the guy that we know is not going to stay. Jermaine Terry the second. He's not staying.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with 2 spots with 4 guys: Daniel Bellinger, Greg Dulcich, Thomas Fidone, and Chris Manhurst. Manhurst is the guy that's definitely staying.
He's a blocker.
Exactly. As Deb just said the same thing. Is a Manhurst a good blocker? Yeah. Exactly.
He's a guy that might get you 200 yards on the year, but he'll be your 6th offensive lineman.
Yes. If he gets 200 yards of the season, that's a good season for him.
That's what I'm saying. He might get you that.
He's like Howard Cross. He's a tight end, but just for show.
Pretty much.
Remember Cross back in the day? He did like 100 yards.
Crisscross.
Make you jump. So that's 2. We got 1 more spot. So now we're down to Daniel Bellinger, Greg Dulcich, and Thomas Fidone.
It's Fidone.
And you know what? Bellinger, I'm sorry. And I agree with Jay. I really do think Daniel Bellinger is that guy that will go elsewhere and probably succeed. And I don't think it's just going to happen here. For whatever reason, there's issue with him and his coaching staff, I feel like. Because his has gone down every single year.
Well, look at his rookie year, like 450, like but came up some big plays. Like he did great. Second year, it's like even with his injury, he had 450. Then go to year 2, right? Yeah, we got Walker there. Yeah, to
Texas Ranger.
Take away from some of his moves, but it was just a sure lack of him being in place. And like Bellinger was a good blocker too. Like that's what we thought he was going to be. Like a little guy that'd be not so much 450 yards, like an improvement of Manhurst. Like maybe not as tough, but like got to get the job done that you can sneak in and like in the red zone.
Yep. And you know, like I said, it's a shame because I like Bellinger.
So do I.
But I think Darren Waller would never have been here if the Giants really liked Bellinger. I think there's something about him that they don't like. And I don't know if it's something locker room wise.
I think
got to be something there he doesn't like.
I think probably what happened, and it's just me putting on the goofball helmet and thinking out of the box here. I think Bellinger had a great first year. Fantastic, some people say. And what did Giants fans bang the drum about? We need to get Daniel Jones a weapon. He needs a weapon. Go out to the market, get a weapon. What were we trying to do? Save money in cap, get a weapon. We weren't going to spend $20 million on the wide receiver. So you go spend $14 million on Bellinger and say, here's your weapon. Go figure it out. Bellinger probably got upset about it. Probably said a few things. So like, what about my future? I thought I was your guy. That's what you told me when you drafted me. And
first off, I don't think anyone ever told him you're our guy, you're the future, where they drafted him in the 4th round.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like he probably had a little bit more of come to him what he thought. And all of a sudden he probably felt dirty by like going out and getting Waller. I mean, he said something. I don't know. Maybe there was something said before that, and that's why we got Waller. But I don't know.
I just think something happened behind the scenes that we don't know. I really do. I've always thought that with him. And like I said, I've never heard a bad word about him. It's not me trying to throw anything out there like that. It's just weird to me. Something happened. Now here's the other part about it too. And I saw a comment about it here, but over the cap with him, we see $3.4 million by getting rid of him. Bellinger.
Yeah.
$3.4 million, guys. Now we just talked about it. We think Bellinger can succeed elsewhere. So when I hear people say, Oh, you're just gonna pick somebody up off the streets like that? Why would somebody ever release somebody good? Well, here's Bellinger, and there's plenty of people that think Bellinger's good. So yeah, that's why we think
trade him for a 6th-round pick somewhere.
That's why I think somebody might be available.
Yeah,
call me crazy, So I think he's gone. I think, like you said, it's a trade. Listen, I would trade him in a heartbeat if somebody wanted him. I really would. Because if you trade him, you're still saving $3.4 million and you get something for him. I just looked to verify. We're still saving the money. So I just don't know what anybody's going to give you. But like you said, 6th-round pick, even I don't care. I'm going to cut him. I'm going to get whatever I can. So we'll see. I mean, those conversations that we had after the game. Because you got the game on Thursday, you got the cut day on Tuesday. It's going to be a very, very busy weekend, I guarantee you. For people talking on the phone about what they could or could not do. So, Greg Dulcich, by the way, I think is somebody they're going to want to put on the practice squad. I do think they like him. I just don't think they like him more than Fedone.
Yes, fair.
And you want one tight end. And I just don't think Terry's got it. We didn't like Terry at the beginning when we first picked him up as UDFA. So maybe it's us being biased on our original opinions. I don't know, but he hasn't done anything that's gone, ooh, look at Terry. Look what he did.
Look at scary Terry number 2. Nope.
Oh my gosh. Let's get to the offensive line here, guys. So we got 9 players, people we usually keep on the offensive line. Now keep in mind, we still have an extra spot we took at the quarterback position. So we either need to take one away here, or we're going to have to take away somebody on the defense. So let's see what we got here. You got Andrew Thomas, assuming he comes in. Okay. You got Runyon. You got JMS. You got Van Roten. Like, these are all people we're saying. You got Illuminor. He's staying. You got, I know everybody's going to hate this one, Evan Neal staying.
Yep.
Evan Neal is staying. Marcus Bowe is staying. Everybody loves that one. Marcus Bowe is staying. So I'm going to give you another one I hate. Hudson is staying.
Sally.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there. 8. And again, we gotta figure out the one spot.
Here you go. Keep Bellinger, put Man Hurts over there.
So I'm saying we're going to probably have to take it from the defense. And I think part of it is because there's some movement around with defense. We have guys that play multiple positions on defense that can help some of that issues. Carter can play linebacker. Golston can play defensive end. He can play the edge position. There's a couple of spots he can be at. So I'm gonna say we take one away from the defense to make up for the extra quarterback. We're gonna keep 9. And I'm going to say the guy we keep comes down to 2 people. So I think it's going to come down to either Aaron Stinney or Josh Azudu.
But Azudu is doo-doo.
Yeah, he is.
Stinney must be the keepy.
You know what he is? I feel like Josh Azudu is the Daniel Jones of the offensive line.
That's fair.
Like, the Giants have done him, first off, no favors. Again, we've said it before, he's a verb because they put him in the wrong position. Okay. But then on top of that, he just looks good enough to give you hope every so often. You know what I mean? Like, every so often, you're like, oh, wait, he had a decent game there, Stinney did. Maybe we should keep him. Maybe he's going to develop after all. I don't see it personally. I would do Aaron Stinney. And we also save $1.4 million by cutting Josh Azudu, by the way, because he's in his last year. And I know nobody wants to talk about the money part. They want to talk about the fun part, what you see in the field. The money part is part of it.
A big part of it.
It is. We just saved $5 million, guys, by just cutting Bellinger to Azudu. That's a lot. But, you got on there now. You got your starting 5. You got Illuminor, who can move around if need be. You got Van Roten, who can move to center if need be. So you got some, even with the starting 5, you got some movement abilities there at that point. You got Neal, who they're going to play at guard, but in a pinch, if you really had to, you could play him tackle. Nobody wants to see it. Trust me. Nobody wants to see it. But in a pinch, you got it. You got Bo, who literally plays all 5 positions. You got Hudson, who probably should stay on the bench. And then you got Stinney, who's played both guard positions. You got some versatility there. And I think I really think that's probably the best way to go. And you're talking about a whole lot of guys now that would be gone. Stone Forsythe would be gone. Austin Schlapman would be gone. Jason Williams would be gone. You know, there's still guys, and Schlapman's a guy I would have loved to keep. Jake Kubis, who I see Jay talk about there, gone. I don't think he's any good. I never did. You know, I think the Giants would love to sneak him onto the practice squad in this scenario. But I don't think he's good. I never got the hype on him really. But you know, what do I know? Brian Hudson, gone. Jimmy Morrissey, gone. So yeah, we got some guys here that are gone. But it's nice that we actually have people like some of those guys. I could actually imagine somebody picking up. That's the scary part. Like I can see somebody picking up Josh Azudu.
Oh, definitely.
Actually playing him at the right position and actually developing him. Yeah, not so subtle dig. So
yeah,
like I said, I think when's the last time we've had guys that we are going to cut on the offensive line that we go, somebody else might pick them up?
15 years.
Been quite a while, guys. It's been quite a while.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you.